My name is Vikas Gora. I'm the grandson of Gora and Saraswati Gora. And my parents, Dr. Vijayam and Sumati. Vijayam was the executive director of Atheist Center, and Sumati used to take care of the Gora Science Center programs to promote science and scientific outlook. So I was brought up from a young age as an atheist because we as a family have always, as a joint family in Atheist Center, we are all brought up in a spirit of questioning, inquiry, and more so specific is to focus on discovery education. Atheist Center is a social change organization. It was founded by Gora and Saraswati Gora. This year, as we speak, we are 81 years old. So it was started to bring in social change, especially addressing the issues and impacts of society, which have become victims of irrational thinking, and especially to promote atheism as a life stance. When I say life stance, it's a way of life. It's an alternative way of life to religion. Many people do ask, if I am a Hindu or a Muslim or a Christian, what if I do not have a religion? So Gora started the positive atheism as a way of life, philosophical both and as well as practical. So atheism as a way of life has attracted the attention of many people who wanted to move away from religious way of living. So Atheist Center primarily focuses on promoting scientific temper, critical thinking, humanism and atheism as a way of life, and secular social work. So why secular social work is because usually social service has always been aligned to religious ways of working. If you do good in this life, you'll be born, when you're reborn, you're born in a better way. And from that lens, people do give money thinking about afterlife. So secular social work is primarily to look at helping people irrespective of their religious or irreligious considerations, because the plight of poverty has got no religion. So to address that, Atheist Center has always focused on secular social work and integrated development approach. So we have three organizations which primarily work on that. One is Arthik Samta Mandal. So Arthik Samta is to bring economic equality. So through Arthik Samta Mandal, we have been working especially on humanitarian response, disaster relief, working with children, communities like fisher folk, tribals, various artisans in the state of Andhra Pradesh. Then the other organization, which is Samskar. Samskar means reform, and Samskar is aimed at rehabilitation of criminals, the Joginis, which is a remnant of Devdasi system, and we also have been working quite a lot in the tribal areas of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana as well. The third organization is Vasavya Mahila Mandali, which primarily focuses on women empowerment and on the health as well as integrated developmental programs in the state of Andhra Pradesh. So these three organizations were founded and initiated by Gora, Saraswati Gora and the Gora family, and they are within the umbrella of the Atheist Center. The fourth one is Gora Science Center, which primarily promotes scientific temper, critical thinking, and free inquiry through science and environmental exhibitions where youth and students come and demonstrate their talent, innovations in the scientific in the field of science. And recently we started Gora and Saraswati Gora International Atheist Research Center, through which we are primarily aiming to encourage youth to take up distance learning diplomas as well as certificate programs. These are not associated with UST yet, but however, these are to bring in more critical thinking and free inquiry among the younger generations. So all these organizations within the umbrella of Atheist Center have got various approaches to reach out to multidisciplinary issues that impact the society on multi-thematic aspects as well. And the entire family, we are right now 5 generations still associated in strengthening the cause of secular social work as well as promoting atheism and humanism as a life stance. I would start with the last one. Especially, there's a difference between religion and culture. The many cultures in the world which were worshipping the sky never associated a religion, or they didn't worship at all in some cultures. So when the belief started into worshipping the human forms of gods, and the rocks which were considered as gods, and associating the human face and the human behaviors into that rock-like creature itself has revolutionized the world of blind belief. So when you look at gods behave exactly like humans. If you look at the entire history, they talk, they curse, they eat, and everything. When you look at the kind of association which has been given various religious textbooks, is all about they behave exactly like humans. So having a culture in general, whereas there's a family, there is a community, and there is celebration of togetherness, there's a solidarity in the times of distress, and that uniqueness of being from a different mountain region or a low-lying region, it's still it's something that has evolved over a period of time of socialization. That has nothing to do with religion. When we say religion is associated with superstition, belief in the supernatural, a god which is more powerful. Maybe my god is more powerful than yours. That's a kind of belief. And at the same time, religion also talks about continuing and having holy texts that are already written, and which have all the answers, not of the past, but also answers for the future. So when we talked about the COVID, people said it's already there somewhere. So, I mean, it's attributing the entire future to have already been documented. And it's the book, and we are reading a book, and through that we are living, is something which is to do with blind faith. And all children are born with no faith. If you see a child, the kind of questions they ask is so unique, and many a time in the classrooms, or the teacher's belief system sometimes stops children from questioning. Children have got amazing curiosity, and curiosity is the mother of invention. And the same way, children also open up their faculties of thinking by learning, by seeing things, by learning from their peers, by questioning. So there's a whole gamut of learning opportunities children have. And if we put a religious textbook in front of them and say, this is where all the answers lie, it is definitely stopping them to think. Rather than, the best question is, here is the religious textbook, ask as many questions critically as you can, then the child may come back and say, why is that animals in all religions used to speak? Now, why is that suddenly all the animals in the current world are not speaking to humans? Those kind of questions which a child asks suddenly tend to be seen as negative. But however, the children's curiosity cannot be curtailed by religious beliefs. That's the reason a child is born religionless. They only carry the religion forced on them, indoctrinated by the parents. So there is no Hindu child or a Muslim child or a Christian child. They're a child who have got Hindu parents, or a Christian parents, or a Muslim parents. Maybe social media is one of the greatest, I wouldn't say invention, but definitely greatest connector. I mean, we are right now talking through Zoom. Pandemic did not stop us from knowing each other, and at the same time sharing views, reaching to wider audience, the speed of communication, and all this has been possible through social media. Definitely, social media has got its positives and negatives. I mean, it depends on how you use any kind of invention for the betterment, or good or the worse. At the same time, the amount of conversations that are happening through technology and through especially the social media is incredible. We are sharing views, we are sharing opinions. Education is happening to the best possible extent. Knowledge has been put in a space just one click away from us. Previously, used to go to the library and sit and whenever there's a possibility of reading a book, we could do it. Now you can download the books, are traveling with you. So I think a lot of innovations have happened because of computer and internet technology. And I would say that has revolutionized the entire world. So now there is curiosity among children to pursue because the exposure they have through TV and the internet, they understand where that would take them to. At the same time, teaching science in classroom should be not be restricted only to theory. It should be more to do with popular science. The popular science is applying science in action. We're talking about firewalking, right? And firewalking has got a science behind that. And we're talking about idols drinking milk or liquids. There's a science behind that. So the same child, when they grow up only studying the hardcore science with not the popular science connect, nor the scientific temper connect, then they will only have the relationship to science to a extent. But we have to bring it to a way of life. So more questions on the scientific experiment from a practical angle should be taught in the classroom. Core area of work on par with promoting scientific temper, critical thinking, is also working towards promoting awareness on superstitions, and especially on claims of the paranormal, the so-called godmen, godwomen, claiming to do multiple things and calling them miracles. Our effort is to investigate the claims of the paranormal. When we say investigate, we do it with all due respect to the person who is claiming to have the supernatural. So if somebody is claiming to have the power to walk on water, it's fantastic. It's good to know. It will revolutionize the world. So why not? Why don't you do it and convert it into bring it up and show how it is possible and to revolutionize the world? Well, it is limited towards the claim. So the Atheist Center's way of working is primarily to conduct atheist study camps. Then we do a lot of programs, especially on scientific awareness with the Bharat Jan Vigyan Jata and all these various forums that are working on promoting science in villages. I think mass campaigns are done. Magic training programs are done to youth and young children so that they understand the science behind the claim of so-called miracles. All this is done in a space of dignity, in a space where we respect the person who claims it, and we also question the person from the same space as well. All the kind of programs which Atheist Center does are tailored to bring in scientific awareness. We have a medical science exhibition where we actually have got a science exhibition which has a display of all the body organs so that people come and understand how a lung looks like, a heart looks like, and also a fetus. It's because 90% of superstitions out there are health-related superstitions. And the fear of death and health-related superstitions are responsible for people usually taking the line of a religious belief. Most outlandish is a claim by a godman who have claimed that he could survive without eating or drinking. But it's a good claim by the face value of it. It's an amazing claim. The world hunger will be resolved. We don't need we don't need to grow crop. We don't need to fight for a price hike in tomatoes and onions and all that will go away. We just don't need to eat. It's amazing. The claim is amazing. But when we went to investigate it, all we asked was we gave a small tube and asked him to fill his urine in it. That's the beauty of science. With a couple of drops of urine, you can make out a lot as to what kind of whatever kind of intake of your food has happened. We can go back into whatever food you would have had taken, claiming to have lived so long for years without food and water. And ideally, urine should not be coming if you have not taken any food. So we have asked for it in a very humble way. Of course, there's a violent backlash from the person who claimed didn't want to give it. He said he doesn't need to give it, but he stands by his claim. So, well, that's where it stops. Usually, when that's exposed, that's where it stops. And if you claim it, the burden of proof of claim rests on you. So, and our responsibility is only to ask simple questions, and we just need simple answers. I would start with saying that caste system, of course, is an integral part of religion, and that's how it's seen. And second thing is that Athi Center has always stood for casteless, religionless society, promoting intercaste and casteless marriages as well. Caste system continues to dominate because of the politicization again. So the caste votes, the discussion of a particular religious group's vote itself is happens just before the elections, and that becomes a norm all over and every time in the country, and that's a sad reality. And we have been working a lot, especially in promoting in a casteless society. It will continue. Ideally, it should start from individual. If somebody has a caste name and is fighting for a casteless society, the best way is to start from changing the individual's name. Gora's full name was Goparaju Ramchandra Rao. So Goparaju Ramchandra Rao demonstrates a caste. So for him to break caste, he has taken GO from Goparaju and RA from Ramchandra Rao and called himself as Gora. So, then the all the children in various generations in Athi Center and across and those people whom Gora has influenced have started to name children on a secular lines, which have got no significance to any caste or religion. We have got various cousins of mine who are named on, especially on, like my cousin who's Rahat is born, his name is Relief. Ideally, the Rahat means relief. So we are talking about the cyclone and tidal wave that has taken place in Andhra Pradesh, and various cyclones hit us. So we have been doing a lot of relief work. And there's another cousin who is named Olas. Olas is Olympics Los Angeles. So another one named as Misha, and she was a symbol, Misha, during our Asiad Games. So names have got a significance and association with caste, and the best way to break from caste is to start from naming secular. Gora named all his children through secular names, like Vijayam, Samaram, Niyanta, Vidya. Vidya is education. All these names have got a secular connotation, which have got no religious or caste significance. And same way we are continuing it in various generations. And because that way we can break the chain of a caste influence in the lives of people. In terms of politicization of caste is what is the major concern right now. So the new gen politicians absolutely need to move away from the caste conversation, especially encashing the caste conversation during politics. And end of the day, of course, many a time it happens that people come in power, and the poorer and the marginalized are always forgotten. Gandhi's ideas are relevant not just today, but also for generations to come, for various reasons, because his messages were universal. They were not divisive. They were applied for progress. Like if you're talking about the Gandhian constructive programs, when we talk about economic equality has a global relevance, and it's not just for India, it's not just for a particular community or a caste or religion. It is economic equality should be for everybody. It should, gender equality and economic equality are aligned, and that's how it should be. So Gandhi has seen it from the integrated nation building space. So his values have come sourcing from the poor, understanding the life of the poor, and how they have a relevance for bringing the empowerment as well. So I would say most of the people who usually are criticizing him as a personality and criticizing him as from the values lens are different. If people have a disagreement with an individual is one thing, and the kind of contribution he has done for the freedom of the country and for the nation building is something else. So targeting both and targeting mixing both and having a difference of opinion is perfectly all right. If people do not agree with a particular individual, it's perfectly all right. But demeaning that individual, that is not fair. That is not actually that's not an honest thought process. That's coming from a vested interest thought process. So if what Gandhi has done has opened up faculties of thinking. And Gandhi was influenced by various people like Leo Tolstoy, Martin Luther King, Henry David Thoreau. So he also borrowed his thought process from and got influenced from various movements and people from across the world. So it's important to be influenced, inspired, as well as progressively think forward rather than criticize an individual and slow down the progress. It's important that we need progressive thinking, and Gandhi has has given incredible concepts as well as practical ways and of living to the rest of the world, and the various parts of the world have been inspired by him. A lot of movements have taken his reference. So it's important that we recognize his contribution and not demean an individual for vested interests. Next generation should be better informed. There's a great opportunity out there through the social media, through the knowledge space that is there. I would say be better informed, be secular, question, and treat people with respect, irrespective of their beliefs, because we are all humans first, and humans we shall remain. And our thought process should be more inclusive, should bring people together. And it's perfectly all right to have disagreements. Disagreements should not distance relationships. Disagreements can be from an ideological lens. It's perfectly all right. At the same time, we have to live a life in a non-violent manner, and peace is the only thing that's going to bring us together. And as a rationalist or an atheist, it's important that you keep questioning, you stand for the values, and stand for the rights of the people who also believe. It's important that if a violence is happening in the name of religion, it's important to stand up and stand up for the people who are actually getting marginalized. It's important because that is where the true essence of an atheist is, because the advantage of an atheist is that we see people from a human lens, not from which religion they belong. The cause we work is also for the human cause, for issues that impact human lives. So the future generation has to be much more robust in terms of the secular values, promoting critical thinking and free inquiry, and ensure that the unity is respected, and bringing people together for the human cause is important. And all our programs and all our inventions and discoveries should be aimed to actually strengthen that.